In the irradiated ruins of post-war Boston, the world of Fallout 4 is a mosaic of chaos and survival. A world rebuilt on desperation, courage, and compromise. The Commonwealth is dotted with bustling settlements, dangerous raider camps, and the skeletal remains of civilization. Among them lies a place so unremarkable, so subdued, that it's almost invisible to the casual wanderer. Tucked quietly between the towering skyline of Boston and the rusted plains near Lexington, Oberland Station barely registers in the player's memories. It's not home to any major quest lines. It doesn't host a faction base, a unique NPC, or a hidden treasure. It is quite literally a stop on a map that most players only visit once, help briefly, and then forget entirely. But that is precisely what makes it so fascinating. In a game filled with cities like Diamond City and settlements like Sanctuary Hills that scream for attention, Oberland Station whispers. It represents the quieter side of the post-apocalyptic struggle, the people who live on the edges of history, who won't be remembered in songs or stories, but whose existence gives the Commonwealth its fragile sense of continuity. This is the story of Oberland Station, the most forgotten outpost in all of Fallout 4. Oberland Station sits at a crossroads, not just geographically but narratively as well. It's located southwest of Cambridge and east of the Drumlin Diner, wedged uncomfortably between chaos and civilization. On one side lies the endless sprawl of urban decay, on the other the uncertain expanse of the wasteland. It's a commuter station, or rather what's left of one. 2 rusted train cars sit stranded on warped tracks, and a few decaying structures hint at what was once a thriving pre-war rail hub. Now it's little more than a platform surrounded by weeds and misery. When the sole survivor first discovers Oberland Station, they find a pair of settlers, frightened, desperate, and clinging to the edge of survival. They have a few meagre crops, a small shack, and almost no defences. The player might talk to them for a moment, accept their plea for help, and move on. For many, it's just another clear out the raiders quest. And yet, beneath that simplicity, Oberland Station captures something that few other locations in Fallout 4 manage. The sense of forgotten persistence. These settlers are not heroes, they are not villains, they are not part of any grand narrative. They are the people who kept trying when everyone else stopped. In a world that celebrates destruction and power, Oberland Station endures by being small, a flicker of life in a sea of dust. Every major location in Fallout 4 seems to carry a legend. Sanctuary Hills represents nostalgia. Diamond City is a civilization reborn. Good Neighbor is chaos with charm. Even the lonely Red Rocket truck stop holds sentimental weight as the player's first outpost. But Oberland Station, it has no myth, no emotional anchor, no powerful NPC with a secret or tragic past. The settlers there don't even have unique names. They're simply settler. They lack complex dialogue trees or deep backstories. The only thing that distinguishes them is their plea for help. Those raiders across the tracks have been terrorizing us for weeks. We can't take it anymore. That's it. That's the entire reason you visit. And yet in that simplicity lies a strange kind of realism. Not every survivor in the Commonwealth is a Vault Dweller, a Brotherhood Paladin, or a synth double agent. Some are just ordinary people trying to survive a bad situation with little more than a hoe and a dream. Oberland Station, in its emptiness, becomes a reflection of Fallout 4's broader theme, that the apocalypse doesn't just erase the powerful, it erases the ordinary. Most players won't remember the names of these settlers, but they are the backbone of the world that you're trying to rebuild. In terms of gameplay, Oberland Station barely qualifies as a functional settlement. It starts with minimal resources, almost no defences, and a constant vulnerability to raiders, super mutants, and ghouls. Even after you secure it for the Minutemen, it feels fragile. A settlement always one bad attack away from extinction. When you compare it to the other outposts like Starlight Drive-In or the Castle, Oberland Station seems almost laughably inadequate. It's small, exposed, and nearly impossible to fortify efficiently because of the uneven terrain, and railway structures that cut through the area. But that fragility is what makes it authentic. This place isn't supposed to be a fortress. It's a place where people scrape by, where hope is measured in handfuls of food and a few functioning turrets. You can build it up, of course. You can turn it into a beacon of prosperity with crops, power, and supply lines connecting it to your larger network. But even then, it feels lonely. Unlike Sanctuary or the castle, it never feels central. It's always on the edge geographically and emotionally. It's the settlement equivalent of a sigh, quiet, resigned, but still breathing. When you take Oberland Station under the protection of the Minutemen, something poetic happens. It becomes a metaphor for the Minutemen themselves. The Minutemen are not the most powerful faction in Fallout 4. They lack the advanced technology of the Brotherhood of Steel, the ideology of the Railroad, and the political might of the Institute. What they have instead is resilience. They are ordinary people standing against extraordinary odds. Oberland Station fits that mold perfectly. When you help its settlers, you're not saving the world. You're saving two scared people who just want to farm in peace. It's humble work, but that's what the Minutemen are about. Rebuilding from the ground up, one forgotten outpost at a time. And in that sense, Oberland Station becomes symbolic. It's the embodiment of the Minutemen's philosophy, that every life matters, even the smallest, even the quietest. It reminds the player that heroism in Fallout 4 isn't found in explosions or politics, but in compassion. Oberland Station's obscurity gives it moral weight. It is the little piece of the Commonwealth that proves the Minutemen's mission has meaning. If you look at the map of Fallout 4, Oberland Station's placement is peculiar. It's close enough to major landmarks like Back Street Apparel and Beantown Brewery to feel exposed, yet distant enough to feel forgotten. It's surrounded by dangers, but ignored by everyone else. Raiders prowl nearby highways, mutants stalk from the south, even the Brotherhood's vertebrates pass overhead without a second glance. It's as if the world has decided Oberland Station doesn't exist. The station's design reflects that isolation. It's small, boxed in by train cars and hills, giving it the feel of a makeshift cage. You can almost sense the settlers' paranoia, the fear that danger could descend from any direction at any time. And yet, despite all that, they stay. They plant crops in irradiated soil. They sleep in broken huts. They rebuild one plank at a time. It's hauntingly beautiful in a way, a story told not through dialogue or quests, but through silence and perseverance. Oberland Station is not just geographically forgotten, it's emotionally forgotten too, both by the world and by most players. The irony of Fallout 4's settlement system is that while it encourages rebuilding, it also creates an overwhelming sense of scale. There are dozens of locations to manage, hundreds of settlers to feed and protect, and constant demands for attention. In that chaos, small places like Oberland Station inevitably get lost. Players often forget to return, neglecting their defences until a raid wipes them out. When you finally get the radio alert that Oberland Station is under attack, it's usually followed by a shrug. And that's tragic, because in that moment, Fallout holds a mirror up to the player. You are, in many ways, like the world before the bombs. Too busy, too distracted, too grand to notice the quiet suffering of the few. Oberland Station becomes a symbol of neglect, not just in-game, but metatextually as well. It reminds the players that the apocalypse isn't rebuilt through grandeur, but through empathy, that even the smallest outpost still deserves attention. When players think back on their journey through the Commonwealth, they remember the glowing sea, the Institute, the grand, the dangerous, the dramatic. But Oberland Station, it's the place they passed by, helped briefly and then left behind. Yet it keeps going. Its settlers rebuild, its crops grow, its trains rust quietly in the sun. It is forgotten but not gone. And that's what makes it powerful. Oberland Station doesn't need to be important to matter. It exists as a reminder that history isn't written only by heroes or villains. It's written by survivors, by the ones who stay. So the next time you pass Oberland Station, or if you've already been there before, stop for a moment. Look around the broken tracks, the tired settlers, the faint hum of a generator struggling against the wind. That's not failure, that's endurance. And in a world like Fallout 4's, that might be the most extraordinary thing of all.